Happy New Year. Well, New Year, same old stuff. Um, we're here to discuss, our favorite topic, the electric car company that shall not be named. The year started off with a bang. We got a lot of news to discuss. I thought it'd be good to catch up. We're long overdue for one of these discussions. Um, Motorhead, I've been doing this. I started as an auto analyst, back in the 80s, working for Peter Lynch. And in all my years, I've never seen a stock like this where the valuation, I think 1.6 trillion last I looked, has become so disconnected from the earnings. As an old saw, stock prices tend to follow earnings. And, it's just been a complete disconnect. And so I feel like I've been right on the fundamentals, but, truth be told, I've been totally wrong on the stock price. And you probably feel the same way. So what do you think is going on, Motorhead? And you and I were talking before we started this recording. Why do you think, I think both of us believe this, but why do you think 2026 might be the year where Tesla finally gets its comeuppance?
Well, I think the all the stars have aligned, right? So you've got people because of Musk, sounding his robotaxi dog whistle, like every month last year. You've got a situation where people are like, saying, "Show me the money." Let's see these safety drivers get pulled out of the cars and let's see robotaxi officially launch. And that was supposed to actually happen by the 29th of December. And it didn't happen. They were supposed to pull out the safety drivers in Austin, and start showing their robo taxis going around with nobody in the front seat. That didn't happen in the end. They showed a few videos where there was an employee in the back seat filming the car driving by itself, but the one thing that they couldn't do is offer paid rides, and that's because the new Texas laws on robotaxis are really strict. So what's going on now is we're sitting here saying, wait a minute, weren't you supposed to like have, robotaxis around Austin driverless by year end? It didn't happen, but it's gonna have to happen by April, which is when the Cybercab launches. The Cybercab has no steering wheel or brake and gas pedals, so it has to be driven by automated driving system.
Wait,
Like
wait, 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 let me get this straight. You're supposed to get into one of these cyber cabs and there's no steering wheel, no gas pedal, no nothing. And it's just one of these trust me, bro type things.
it's a typical uh this is going to be really cool Musk type of things. Just like he thought Cybertruck would be, the be all and end all, sell 250,000 a year,
Hmm.
It became a huge flop. And this is the thing about Musk. He's been on a string of losses. Even though, people say, oh, he got his, $1 trillion pay package and all that. If you look at all the things that he's tried to roll out in the past several years, it's all been crap. And this is why I think the reason why, despite the declining earnings and all that stuff, the stock still hit a new time, high in December, just because of all this hype on, robo taxis officially launching without drivers, safety drivers in the front seat,
All
and
right.
that didn't happen.
So you know what? Let's go down that rabbit hole to start. I thought we would just talk about autos first, but robotaxi's top of mind for everybody. And so, the Tesla bulls will say, well, he always delivers, just wait. Who cares? It didn't happen in December. It'll happen, a month or two from now, whatever. What's, 10 years? What's another few weeks if you be waiting for 10 years, whatever, okay? So, what do you think's really going on with robotaxis? Talk a little bit about where do you think they really are, and is it one of these not ready for prime time technologies? Is it just a question of a little more time, or do you think it's just not going to happen because of the regulatory environment in Texas? And I know you've written a lot about level four and the results the test results they have to provide to the regulators. So what do you think's really going on with robotaxis? And if you had to guess, when do you think we will get robotaxis?
So I think that it's still glitchy. It's not ready for prime time. And I mean, if you just like, watch some of the videos that people put out on Twitter, when robotaxi screws up, I'm sorry, not robotaxi, but full self-driving, when it screws up,
Right.
it screws up. And it screws up so bad that there are two major probes going on at NHTSA looking at full self-driving and how problematic it is. One of the probes is about, how they blatantly like flout all the traffic rules, like they don't stop at stop signs and stuff like that. The other one is worse. The other one is the fact that it gets confused in hazy environments. Like if there's dust, if there's snow or fog or something like that, it gets confused, and it's killed people by doing that. So it's just not ready for prime time.
And Mona, could you explain a little bit? I know you wrote a great note. And by the way, everyone who wants to know more about Motorhead, he's on Substack, so a must read. You wrote a great report recently about the California decision, and maybe you could share a little bit what Tesla's own lawyers said, how they described FSD, whether it's self-driving or not, and the problem they've had for years. They have not been providing the regulators, be it California, Texas, whatever, any of the test results, and how that informs your view. Obviously, you're speculating, but doesn't asking for a friend, doesn't it kind of think like if they had decent results, like they'd provide them?
Yeah, so this is the thing is Tesla, interestingly enough, obtained their uh, automated vehicle testing permit from the California DMV, like literally 2 or 3 weeks after Waymo did back in 2014. Now Waymo's doing like, like 500,000 paid rides a week now, and Tesla's still sort of screwing around with this, FSD technology that, never seems to
Wait,
work.
wait, wait. They had the permit since 2014,
Right.
but in order to run the rides, you have to show evidence as level four. Is that the idea?
Right. So if you've got an AV testing permit, so first of all, there are 7 permits you need to get in the state of California in order
Yeah.
to operate a, driverless ride-hailing service. So the first one is the one that Tesla and Waymo got, back in 2014. To go on to the next one, you have to submit an annual disengagement report of your system that shows like how many times you had disengagements, and was it due to the system failure, going on, or was it due to the driver, the safety driver taking over because he thought that the system would do something wrong? So Tesla never did that. So they'd always report that we had 0 autonomous miles tested this year, so no disengagements. So this is the thing you got to ask yourself: if this FSD technology is really like, up to snuff, I guarantee you Musk would be, like screaming about it off of rooftops,
You
putting out,
think?
putting out white papers, having it, peer reviewed by third parties, and but I mean, the fact that they're not saying anything, they refuse to even like give out, details about it to the Texas authorities as well. So it's like as long as he's not willing to sort of show the data. I mean, the reason why Waymo is doing so well and they're trusted so much is because they put out all the data and they said, you go ahead and check it
Right,
out. And
right,
they're doing really well because they're completely open, whereas Tesla is completely
right.
closed.
Right. Okay. So let's keep the two separate though, because I know a lot of people get distracted. You don't, I don't, but they want to make this a Waymo versus Tesla thing. But the point is, if I understand you correctly, Tesla has every incentive to provide the results if they're good.
Exactly. And the thing is, look, if they're this is why I couldn't understand all of 2025 is like, and it was building up from 2024, right? It was Musk realizing that the car business is screwed, and he had to switch the narrative away from cars and say, look, we're a, AI robotics company, it's all full self-driving robotaxis, humanoid bots and all that stuff. It's like
Ugh,
it's not working. And the reason why is because I think he knows it's not working. He knows it's not ready for prime time, but there's something up that compels him to really go to huge extents like he did last year by rolling out, these robo taxis that aren't robo taxis and or self-driving that have to have safety drivers in the
So,
front.
so this kind of reminds me of the Nikolai story where they rolled a fake truck down the hill. It's like one of these photo op things. It's like, or you look at the Optimus, the robotics. It's like they're all publicity stunts. There's no there. There's nothing real. It's all pretend.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
And,
So on California, he's got every incentive to produce the results. They haven't. And also, could you just elaborate a little bit more? What did the Tesla lawyers say? Because that California DMV hearing was quite important. What did Tesla's own lawyers? What did Tesla's own lawyers say about FSD and whether it was meant to be self-driving, et cetera? What's level two, level four? Because that also opens up the whole question about potential lawsuits for people who purchase the systems expecting they were FSD or for accidents and deaths that occurred when people use the FSD. So, in their own words, what did Tesla legal counsel say about FSD?
well, I mean, you could go to town if you got, all the 5 days worth of hearing records, which I did. But you just go through there, and I mean, I picked out a few. There were tons more, but I mean, one guy was saying, the currently enabled autopilot and full self-driving features require, active driver supervision and do not make the vehicle autonomous. This is a Tesla attorney.
These are Tesla attorneys, okay?
Yeah.
Oh, did Tesla was Elon Musk not paying attention to what his own attorneys were saying?
I don't think he really cared, but these guys, they made at least, I mean, 5 or 6 comments like that to the judge.
Wow.
And in
Again,
the end, the judge came out and said in her ruling, you know, uh, FSD is actually unambiguously false,
right.
the naming, and it's counterfactual based on Tesla's own technical admissions.
It sounds
So
pretty straightforward to me. Okay,
exactly.
so that was a few months ago, but now let's fast forward to Texas, where you've got crash results, test results through October, and I know there's some more data more recent, but talk about the state of play in Texas. That okay, they had these driverless cars, photo op, whatever, but um, we're in regulatory limbo right now. So, what's the lay of the land look right now in terms of what Tesla has to be able to do to legally operate paid driverless cars?
Well, so this was a huge debate I got into with a lot of people on, the fanboys on Twitter. But the thing is, it's really complicated. Nobody really knows what's going on unless you've got an inside,
Sure.
ear to what the, Department of Motor Vehicles in Texas is thinking. But the point is, they never took out the drivers from the Austin robo-taxis, and the
Right.
reason for that has to do with the fact that the California DMV had such a, scathing, statement and ruling, against Tesla's full self-driving, and also the fact that I mean, they just they they they're really like the new law kicked in December, and if you sit there and you don't have level 4 data to show the regulators, you can get in big trouble. I mean, if they got into an accident, injured someone, even worse, killed someone, by taking out the drivers and letting the cars, drive themselves and take, rides, they'd be breaking multiple laws, and they could have their, license revoked in the future.
Okay, so what does that mean right here, right now? Like, I understand there are different dates here. I know you wrote about May 28th, the end of March, et cetera, et cetera. Can you just lay out the timeline, what we're looking at here?
So the Texas DMV adopted this along with the Texas Department of Public Safety. They were the two that sort of adopted this and enacted it at the end of November, and from which time they've got 3 months, and I think that winds up in February 27th.
Yeah.
And after that, after the 27th, it sort of goes deeper into enforcement. But the Texas DMV is not ready to issue permits yet because they need to get this new computer system up and running so that they can, issue the new, autonomous vehicle permits
Oh
that
yeah, so they can count all 10 permits that are going to be applied for. Yeah, okay, got it. Go on. Yeah,
exactly.
right.
So
Okay.
to make a long story short, Tesla's sort of in a state of limbo. Okay, the Texas DMV won't be issuing permits till May, so they said at the same time because they can't issue permits, they won't sanction anybody either. But the point is, whatever they're saying, the point is that these laws went into effect in December, and they're going into deeper effect in February. And I think Tesla, well, Musk, sort of knew this and realized that, hey, this stuff still really isn't safe. And even though it's Texas and I own everything here, I don't think I should be,
Right.
going too crazy with some of these PR stunts the way he had
Okay.
been.
So trying to look at it glass half full. All right. Trying to play the little opposition here. So if I'm a bull, I'll say, well, okay, so don't worry, it'll be a little late again, but he always delivers, blah, blah, blah. I think you're the belief it's not going to happen anytime soon. So when do you expect the earliest? And this may have to do with the fact they're only using vision and they're not using LiDAR and radar. So maybe you could talk a little bit about, everyone else in the industry using LiDAR and radar. They're the only ones just with vision. And, how does that factor as well as other factors inform when you think, if at all, we're going to get robotaxis? Is it a 26, 27, 28 event? Like, when do you think it's going to happen? If it's going to happen.
So I've got 2027, like sometime in 2027 maybe. But I don't think it's going to be a huge, ramp up immediately. I think they've somehow finally like get it right, and then Musk says, "Okay, let's hand out the data to all the authorities." And with all these like departments of motor vehicle in every state, you don't have to prove that you've got an automated driving system that's level 4 autonomy. You just have to, yeah, you just have to say that, you have to self-certify.
Okay, so it's kind of like Tether with self-attestation, like you claim you have the backing, no one's going to check it. Okay, fine. So you just have to self-report. All right, but you think it'll be 27 at the earliest? Is that your right? Is that what you said?
I just don't see it happening this year. I mean,
Yep.
it's just if you, I mean, I watch this stuff like a hawk. And looking at the various websites, looking at footage and stuff, it's still really dangerous. And if you look into the NHTSA reports on the crashes, which are
Sure.
heavily redacted by Tesla, there's some pretty nasty stuff that went on. There were 8 crashes. Um, we don't know whether all 8 were Tesla's fault. I'm guessing not all of them were because there's one where the
Sure.
robotaxi was at a stop and there was some kind of crash. We don't know why because they redacted it. But the point is, we don't really know what's going on. But it was enough that it caused after the California DMV came out with the judge's ruling against Tesla's naming of their self-driving suite. Not being self-driving is it's like they're all of a sudden under heavy scrutiny by the regulators. And I think that's why Musk is like saying, "Oh crap, I better sort of like start slow
Sure.
walking this a little bit."
Sure. So the California decision is important because all the states are looking over each other's shoulders, and so it's going to make Texas or any other state, for that matter, bit more cautious about just going willy-nilly and giving approval. What does it also mean, the California ruling? What does it mean potentially for lawsuits, either in respective people getting injured or killed, or wanting refunds because FSD was advertised as FSD and it's really not? So is the California ruling important in that regard as well?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, so the California ruling itself, I mean, the California ruling was hugely important, not because of what kind of sanctions that they're seeking. I mean, they're seeking just that Tesla changes some of the wording
Sure.
of its marketing, and they're asking Tesla to change autopilot to something else. The name is just too misleading.
Right.
They didn't go after full self-driving because Tesla like preemptively changed that to FSD full self-driving uns or supervised, right? So it
Sure.
means driver has to supervise. So anyway, they're asking Tesla to change autopilot to something else and to change some of the wording in their marketing material.
Okay.
I think it's funny, Musk didn't really say anything, but Tesla's Twitter account came out and said, there was literally no customers who complained about this. This is a consumer
Right.
complaint, and we will continue selling cars uninterrupted. Now
Okay.
that's basically like, saying go jump in the lake to the California DMV
Right. Right.
because
Right. 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 Right.
they have the right to stop all sales of Teslas in the state for 30 days.
Right. I read in your report they didn't want to do that because they didn't want people throwing out work. So neither of us are great experts on the physics involved here, but going back on something we discussed a
Well,
few
I mean,
weeks
Joe, I'm just to answer your
ago.
question. I mean, let's face it, every other successful automated driving system out there uses what they call, sensor fusion. It means a combination of cameras,
Yep.
lidars, and radars. And Tesla is the only one who's not up and running because of the fact that, well, not because of the fact, it just so happens that they're the only ones trying to do it just with cameras in order to
Yeah.
save money.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with Tesla is they're always, cutting corners at the sake of the customer and at the sake of safety, just so that they can, go out there and scale.
Let me ask you this. Look, we don't know, we're speculating here, but again, any reasonable person would agree, going back a few minutes ago, that if Tesla had good data, they would have submitted to the California regulators, and it's been 11 years and running, they haven't. So you're forced to conclude they don't. Then going on to whether his vision is adequate or not, neither of us are the biggest experts on this stuff, but everyone else is doing it with sensors. If Tesla has to, if, and we don't know, but if Tesla has to go to using sensors, given the time it would take to test all those things and get the kinks out, wouldn't that, I mean, how long of a delay would that take in terms of, doesn't it take a long time, years to get all that stuff worked out?
Well, so um I don't know about years, but I think, yeah, I mean, at least a year
At
of
least a year.
rejigging things and retesting
Right.
things. And but the problem is like while all this is happening, everybody and their brother Bob is like rolling out, some kind of like robo-taxi this year. I
Right.
mean, you've got
Right.
Lucid partnering up with Uber. You've got, another company doing the same thing. You've now got Nvidia like offering this stuff to anybody who's willing to sit there and work with it, and buy their chips, to
Okay, so
to
let's move on to that. That's even a more important point. So whether or not Tesla, so it's not happening in 26, I got that. What happens in 27, 28, nobody knows. But time is not free. Time is moving on. I think the point that you were getting to. So the idea when they spoke about this 10 years ago coming to fruition, that would have been a huge thing. But we're now moving on so that within a few years, I mean, this whole thing is going to be commoditized. Is that kind of where we're going with this?
Well, that's what I think is happening, right? I mean, um, first of all, there's the question of like how big is the self-driving taxi market? It's hard to say. I mean, I don't know if I would personally want to order a self-driving taxi, but I'm who I am. But a lot of people like prefer it and are willing to pay a premium for it because they would rather not be in the car with a driver. A lot of there's a report that Uber has like female customers in their cars getting harassed like every 6 minutes or something like that. It was like
Yeah,
horrible.
well, people don't hit on me, so I have that problem, but
Yeah,
we've all had the experience. We don't appreciate the smell of the fried chicken, okay, or
yeah,
the Chinese
exactly.
food in the front seat. I would pay good money not to have to put up with that. But anyway, so but the point is, so I get what you just said, but the point I was trying to get at, whatever one, everyone goes with these crazy valuations and tries to make up models. Nobody really knows. But whatever numbers one might have wanted to come up with 5 years ago, all things being equal, which they never are, the fact that we're now that much closer to commoditization of the business, because all these other entrants in the field, that has to make the value of the prize much lower, no? I mean, so, people won't come up with these crazy numbers, 500 billion, 700 billion, whatever they come up with for robotaxis. Like in a commoditized world where this is widely available, kind of hard to see how that's the case, no?
Well, so here's the thing, right? You not only have more players coming in, but you also have Waymo sort of just trailblazing things, you know? I
Sure.
mean, they're like pretty much, they're setting the standards, right? So if
Yep.
this goes on for, I mean, they went just to give you an idea. They're in talks right now they're trying to raise some funds again. And in October 2024, they raised some funds at a $45 billion valuation, okay?
Right.
And right now, like literally like a little bit over a year later, they're looking to raise about 105 billion. So I mean, that's like 2
Hold on,
point
hold on, hold on, hold on. Did you mean they're looking to raise money at a valuation of 105 billion?
I'm sorry. They're
Okay.
raising money at a
Right. Right.
105 billion dollar valuation.
Right, 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 right. So
So
105 billion for those keeping score at home, that's like $30 a share, 35 if you do the read across. And it's not perfect, but just order of magnitude. That's $30 a share thereabouts, $35 a share. And whether it's a little bit too high, Tesla's better, Tesla's worth is worse. 100 billion for Waymo. I mean, again, going back to the imputed valuations for robotaxis in the case of Tesla. They're not talking about 100 billion. They're talking about 400 billion, 500 billion, 600 billion. They're talking about it's
well,
it's like in a totally different order of magnitude. No, makes no
so
sense.
here's what I did. Okay, so I said, okay, let's take the auto business, and I've got them making losses this year, so I'm not using like,
Sure.
EV EBITDA
Yeah,
or
yeah, yeah.
price
So
range.
you do EV sales or something like that. Go on. Yeah.
Exactly. I mean, for car makers, like the oldest valuation in the book is using EV to sales, which like finally correlates to profitability as well,
Sure.
amazingly.
Sure.
So, but the thing is, like, it's not 100 billion that you're looking at. It's like what 100 billion valuation is based on whatever the targets are for their earnings in
Right.
2030, right?
Right.
And it actually comes out to roughly 50 times earnings. So
Okay. But
if you
hold on. Let's break this down one step at a time, because I know it's in your head, but just so that everyone watching this video can understand what you're saying. So let's start with the auto business. Okay. You were kind of sending me a table before we started, and I would have come up with similar numbers. I have come up with similar numbers as an old auto analyst. Um, Looking at putting on an EV to sales of 0.53, which is the 2026 average, that yields 52 billion or $16 a share for Tesla. Did I get that right?
That's right.
Okay. Energy storage, we'll get into some of the details in a minute. You put it on a 17 multiple on 27 earnings. So you're giving them the benefit of the doubt. It's pretty good growth. You have them 47 billion, $14 a share, correct?
Right. So
Right,
now when you take those two valuations out
right,
of the market cap,
right.
you're left with 1.35 trillion dollars valuation that is attributed to stuff that doesn't exist.
Correct. Correct. Okay. So stay with that number, billion 350. I just want to go through the rest of your calculation.
A trillion 350.
Trillion 350, correct. Okay. And now I see you put a 50 multiple for robotaxis, you put a 50 multiple on 23 earnings,
No,
whatever. Garbage in,
2030
garbage
earnings.
out, garbage out. Okay. That comes up with a $32 billion valuation for robotaxis, $10 a share. And then you put humanoids. You're being so generous in this. You put a 5.6 multiple of revenues for this make believe, as our good friend Gordon Johns would say, Chuck E. Cheese robots. 5.6 times 2030 sales gets you 33 billion for robots or $10 a share. To sum this all up, 16 for autos, 14 for energy, 10 for robotaxis, 10 for humanoids, $50 a share. Did I get that right?
Yeah, and which is 89% downside versus today's
Okay.
share price.
Now, we can argue about all these numbers, okay?
Sure.
Somebody's going to say on the autos, it shouldn't be 0.53 sales, it should be, one-time sales. I'm just going to make up stuff, right? Okay,
Yeah.
fine. It's holiday season. Let's be generous. We'll double the value auto component. Instead of $16 a share, it's $32 a share. Whippy do. Or some of the parts goes from 50 to 66, okay? Ditto for energy. You want to double energy valuation? So we'll double energy, we'll double autos. we're at $80. Still not in the right time zone for 450, all right?
Exactly.
And you got the pretend businesses. So I guess what I find so bewildering, so offensive, it's one thing if auto nerds are arguing about this should be 0.5 times sales, that should be 0.7 times sales. No, this is so far off. You have to add a zero,
Yep.
zero to the numbers. And the people that are adding the zeros to the numbers, how should I say? I wouldn't exactly hold them out as paragons of financial analysis. So to me, I just find it very fanciful. Um, and so I guess what I would say, and I'm getting working up ahead of steam here, but it's one thing if you and I disagree on something, fine. We may disagree. I learn a lot from you. I respect you, but I look at the what that's being thrown against the wall here. There's no seriousness. This is all narrative driven nonsense. It's completely pie in the sky.
Yeah, it is.
How would you
Yeah.
respond to that?
No, it's absolutely insane. If you read through some of these analyst reports as well, you can see them struggling to explain it as well. So I think they're all just pretty much trying to chase the stock price
Right.
and making up the valuations in the process.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. I think that's right. All right, let's move on here. I don't we could talk for hours, my friend, but I want to do a sort of speed round some of the other.
Well, let me just quickly
Oh, yep.
sort of justify some of those valuations. I mean, it
Sure.
sounds like I'm purposely lowballing things, but
You? Go on.
no, so I mean the point is with the robo taxis, I simply went and I looked I took some reasonable estimates like ARC's estimates for Waymo are ridiculous and Morgan Stanley, who are trying to get banking deals from Tesla for robots and stuff, they're too low. So to make a long story short, I took the middle line revenue estimates at Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, Deutsche Bank, and a few others. And the point is, you come out with about 6 billion sorry, you come out with about with about 50 times earnings multiple at
Right.
Waymo if they're valued at 100 billion valuation,
Sure.
right?
Sure.
So that's the point is we're giving Tesla's robotaxi business a 50 times multiple on 2030 earnings.
Yeah, no. So you would not characterize your valuations as being stingy.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Especially after all the scrutiny they're under for this technology that
Sure.
is
Sure.
lethal.
Sure.
The other thing is with the robot division, with the
Yep.
humanoid bot division.
Yep.
I'm just taking so the biggest rival to Tesla is a company called Figure AI, and it's not because of the hardware. It's actually because of the AI brain that this robot has, and
Sure.
it's such incredible stuff that you've got Microsoft, OpenAI, and Jeff Bezos. They're all invested in this Figure AI robot company. So if anyone's going to make it, it's going to be these guys. Meanwhile, I mean, you had the entire department at Optimus quit last year. The two heads left, and then all their staff like sort of followed in their paths. So I mean, they don't even that program is basically stalled right now.
And by the
Um,
way, if I recall correctly, am I right? But just recently, it was October. Figure AI, what do we call them? They did a finance. They raised money, 39 billion or something like that, implied
Yeah,
value.
so yeah, they went from a $2.6 billion valuation to 39 billion.
Okay, so for 39 billion, if Tesla was as good as they are, but they're not, 39 billion on 3.3 billion shares, it's $12 a share, which squares
Well,
with the number you threw out, my friend.
well,
So
actually, it's a little. Once again, I want to be fair, right? So on a figure AI multiple, the CEO put out a 2030 revenue target of $7 billion. So that gives you a 5.6 times price to
wait a second, wait a
sales
second,
multiple.
wait a second, wait a second, wait a second. I didn't know that. The figure AI guy, only things he's gonna do, he figure AI is only gonna do 7 billion in 2030.
Yeah.
Whew.
So, so what I did was I took that 5.6 times multiple, and I applied it to what the average estimate was for
Sure.
Optimus in 2030, which is about 6 billion. And that's how we get to like $10 a share.
what I hope for everyone watching this video and listening to Motorhead, what's really useful, I think, what everyone should take away from this, it's not so much the what, it's the why. I mean, anyone can throw numbers around and say, oh, I think it's worth 10 billion, it's worth 100 billion, whatever. But this is the way, I mean, Motorhead's been doing this for decades. He's actually giving some analytical rigor to the numbers he's putting out there. I wish I could say the same thing for some of the more generous calculations that are out there. And again, I urge everyone. I'm not plugging I'm not plugging for Motorhead. I don't stand to benefit financially, but if you really want to understand what's going on with Tesla, I think Motorhead is and our mutual friend Gordon Johnson, two best guys in the street. Um, okay, so if anyone's still watching this, I hope it's been interesting enough. We spent a lot of time on FSD and the robo taxis. Let's quickly just run through what's going on. And by the way, you are aware that Tesla's not an auto company, okay? Even though 75% of revenues are directly from autos and another 11, 12% from related services, but I digress. So we need to cover this irrelevant division, okay? So you're expecting deliveries will be down in 2026 for a third consecutive year, correct?
Oh yeah, definitely. And it's
Okay,
they're going to be down big time.
and you're pretty relaxed about that. I share that view. Could you please share with the viewers why you believe that?
Well, this is the only car maker. I mean, I've been doing autos for decades, and it's the first automaker I've seen where the CEO thinks it's like it's uncool to bring out new models or to do full model changes on existing models. And because of that, you've got the oldest model lineup in the world that's leveraged pretty much all on the Model Y, which is a 5-year-old, 6-year-old model, and it's like things are getting old in the tooth to a lot of EV buyers, and you've got much more competition. This is what the clincher is. The only market Tesla's safe in is the US because Trump, changed all the EV laws. No more EV tax credits and stuff like that. But the thing is, nobody wants to nobody wants to buy EVs in the States. So it's like the rest of the world, Europe especially, and China, they're under attack by the Chinese. And the Chinese are just basically coming out with much slicker products. I mean, basically like smartphones on wheels.
Hmm.
And I mean, the software is just much more advanced, and they're cheap. They're really cheap. So this is what Tesla's going up against in the rest of the world. I don't expect the U.S. to grow at all. I think it's going to be really tough for Tesla, again this year. I mean, last year they had a nice bump, before the EV tax credits got withdrawn at the end of September, but that's gone this year. So I think they're in big trouble. And
So the European sales really got decimated. From memory, I think total deliveries for Tesla for the year, I think we're down 8.5% or some number like that. So there were 1,600,000 something this past year.
right.
What is this sort of range, min-max probable for percentage decline that you're looking at for deliveries? Best guesstimate as we sit here right now for 2026.
I've got a 15% decline to 1.39 million, 1.4 million, let's call it.
15%?
Yeah.
Whoa, that's like 240,000 units or something like that down.
Right. And a big part of that is just like a lot of pulled forward demand in like Norway last
Sure.
year and in the States, and like as of the third quarter. That stuff's going to push back now, and you're going to have a sort of a recline from those levels.
Right. So yeah, so I think people understand that the first, second, and third quarters of this year, the comparison is going to be very hard in the US because of the absence of the $7,500 tax credit. But you also mentioned that I don't want to get too far down this rabbit hole, but there were selected markets. I think you mentioned Norway, a couple other ones where in the conversation that you explained to me how sales were down through the first 11 months. And then all of a sudden they're up, like in the month of December, they're up some crazy number, like 50%, 100%, 200%. There was a lot of year-end stuff going on because of the coming expiration of tax credits or whatever. So wasn't just so readers understand, viewers understand, December was aberrationally high, and that effect's going to go away as well, if I understand you correctly.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they did a lot of channel stuffing. I would say, I mean, they always do at year end, but it was a little bit more aggressive this time. So one example is like Taiwan, not a huge market,
Okay.
but I mean, so going into like December, so through November last year, Taiwan was down something like 18% year to date.
Sure.
And then all of a sudden, lo and behold, we get the December sales numbers. Taiwan's always quick to report.
Yeah.
Um, Sales are up 190% year on
What?
year in December.
Wait. They're down 18% for 11 months, and then in December, they're up 190?
Exactly. And so they
No, nothing to,
closed
they say, nothing to see here. Just move along, right?
exactly. So
Oh,
they actually
God.
like instead of being down 18% for the year, they wound up 9% for 2025. So stuff like that's gonna have to
Yeah,
like,
I get it. I
push
get it.
back.
I get it. So 240,000. So let's just do a little napkin math here. 240,000 units down. What's the average ASP roughly for these guys? 40 grand or something?
Right now, yeah, it's about no, it's not 40, it's more like 35,000.
Okay, 35. So you're talking, 8 billion, 8 billion decline
Oh,
in
George, sorry, my bad.
sorry.
It's actually they wound up at around 38,000,
Okay, fine.
39,000.
Your auto nerddomism is showing. Round numbers, good enough for government work. Okay, 240,000 units times 38,000, all things being equal, that's like a 9 billion decline in revenues. What type of gross margin do you want to slap on that?
Well, I mean, so the U.S. Removed the EV
Yep.
tax credits. Like for the consumer, the $7,500 tax credit is gone, but for the car makers, like Tesla, they don't get any more ZEV credits
Yeah,
anymore.
but hold on. I want to disaggregate the effects here. First, let's just deal with the negative variance from a volume shortfall. Then we'll throw in the adverse consequence of no more ZEV credit. So a $9 billion decline organically in units. What do you want to put on that? 15%, 20%? What do you want to put on it for gross margin?
I've got gross margin going from 13% at the end of 25 to 6.6%.
Okay, so 13%, just roughly 13% on 9 billion, that's like a billion one, billion two hit on pre-tax profits. And then the ZEV credits were estimated. What your best guess for ZEV credits for 25 or how much?
I think that well, I mean Q4 is going to be bad because that's the first time the
Sure.
US like didn't they didn't get to sell any ZEV credits in the US because the laws, got rid of
Right.
them. So I think so last year was like incredibly insane, okay? They did like 2.76 billion of ZEV credits, and that's mostly from the US. So I see that going to about 1.68,
All
1.7
right.
billion.
Okay. So you're talking about they're going to lose at least a billion in ZEV credits. They're going to lose at least a billion from the impact of lower volumes. I know pricing is also important, and of course, your volume numbers can move around depending on how aggressive they want to be on prices. I get it. So trying to just ballpark, trying to think about because what I'm trying to get to is what 26 is going to look like for these guys. If they were going to make $1.60 a share, whatever the number was, it's about $5 billion net. Um, Probably downside to those numbers because I'm guessing, I think in the conversation or something you told me something you wrote the other day, you think the fourth quarter numbers, earnings numbers are going to be bad. Am I correct? Because to get those volumes, you think they did a lot on price. And so you think, I'm not talking about words in your mouth. I'm just trying to get to the point of it. Because of we know the volume numbers, but because of adverse pricing, you think there's going to be an earnings shortfall in the fourth quarter? Is that, if I
Yeah,
read
I
your notes
mean,
correctly?
the fourth quarter was so bad in terms of like volumes and also pricing
Hmm.
that I've actually they might make a slight loss in Q4. Um so I actually have them like at a $5 million um gap net loss for Q4.
Okay.
And I've got them pretty much like flat on a non-gap basis, but the point is it's not looking good.
Right.
And
So we're going to have a disappointment in the earnings. I don't know if anyone's going to care. Oftentimes they don't care. Must make sure to find something else to talk about. But if fundamentals count for anything, if everyone's paying any attention, you think they're going to lose money as when they report the fourth quarter later this month. Is that right?
They could, right?
It could. All right.
So
Okay,
I mean,
so we're going to have a big
with
miss.
these knuckleheads, you never know. I mean, they can flip stuff around. Also remember Q4 is going to be audited by PwC, so we'll see what happens.
Got it. And so then going back to the train of thought we had earlier, if you ding them a billion plus as if credits go down, a billion plus for lower volumes, et cetera, et cetera. I don't remember exactly. I haven't looked in a couple of weeks, but I seem to recall. I think consensus earnings estimates for Tesla were north of two. It was like buck 65 for 25, which is last year already.
Right.
215 or something like that for 26. But you think there's big downside to those numbers? Do you think it's possible they could lose money in 26?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm betting on it, right? I mean, so I've got them versus consensus at $2.15, per
Yep.
share.
Yep.
I've got minus 36 cents per share.
Okay, so it doesn't have to be minus 36. The point is $2.15 is a pipe dream.
It's
But
not going to
more
happen.
but more importantly, you also have concerns. Um, if you look at the cash flow situation for Tesla, let's say they break even next year. I'm just going to make this up, okay? And keep in mind, everyone who's paying attention at home, $1 a share for Tesla, so many shares outstanding, a dollar a share for Tesla is 3.3 billion shares from memory, okay? So whether they make a dollar or they break even, the delta is $3.3 billion dollars. And then, so when you look at their CapEx, um, I know they have concerns because, CapEx exceeds depreciation, and if they're going to be spending all these initiatives, and who knows if they will, if they're not, then the initiatives aren't serious. Um, I know one of your concerns, I think it's a reason you mentioned the other day why you thought Tesla the stock could really crack, is you think they could have negative cash flow in 26. Did I get that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Unless they pull back on their investment plans, right? So, keep in mind that in 2025 they started out the year saying we will be, our capex is going to be in excess of 10 to 11 billion dollars.
Sure.
And then by Q2 or Q3 they came and like rolled that back and said actually it's going to be like no more than 9 billion. So they sort of cut their capex by 2 billion last year. And they said that they're going to like come back and like make up for it in 2026. So they should be doing over 11 billion in capex this year. Whether they actually do it or not is a different story because they're going to be hurting so badly with operating cash flow that if they go ahead and do 11 billion, they'll be burning cash.
Right. And by the way, I'm too old now to remember this, but rough rule of thumb, if you're an auto company, sorry, Tesla's an auto company, if you're doing 90 billion in sales in cars, what's rule of thumb like capex to sales, in autos? Because it's a cash eating business. You got to keep reinvesting, right? So don't they need to spend multiple billions just to just for steady state and in autos just to keep thing on a level plane? Forget about investing for new models. But is there any rule of thumb out there for how much per dollar of sales you should be spending on capex if you're in the
Yeah,
automobile
well, I
industry?
mean, I mean, if you're a mature, yeah, well, I mean, if you're a mature car maker, it's on average 5% of sales, and like 2% of that'll be like maintenance capex,
Sure.
and 3% of it will be for new products. So
Yeah, so 5% of 80 billion, 90 billion, whatever the number was, I don't have it in front of me. They need to be spending 4 or 5 billion in auto capex. Just forget about all the other stuff, but
right,
just for that. Okay.
exactly.
All right, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay. So,
And then here's the thing about see, so you got all the Tesla fans, and they're like, well, they're not a car maker. Who cares? It's like, okay, I get it. I mean, you've got all this like hoopla going on with robo
sure.
taxis and robots and stuff like that. But the thing is, like, you can't build your robo taxis or your humanoid bots if your car business burns the house down. You'll have nowhere to build things.
Plus, you got to spend billions on those businesses. So it's to invest in that. So
Exactly.
it just doesn't make any sense. Hey, one pet statistic I love, maybe I'm the only one who likes this because I came up with the idea. But, from inception, back of the envelope, I don't think I mentioned this before. Tesla's made from inception $38 billion.
Right.
That's all. That's all. 38 billion. Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Musk, I think, has sold as much stock as that, roughly. All right. And
Yeah.
forget about the fact that when you look at his net worth, his Tesla pile is worth 400 billion. Tesla itself is, worth whatever is a trillion five nowadays.
Right.
Um, the idea that a company cumulatively from inception, we're going on whatever, 16 years, has made $38 billion and it's worth a trillion five?
Yeah.
How do you get from here to there?
Um,
The math escapes me. You want to pull out your DuPont formula and your capital efficient market hypothesis and explain that to me?
yeah. It's hard to understand. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, this is a meme stock. It's a mega cap meme stock, and we've never seen anything like this before. So, yeah, I mean, things are really ridiculous and wacky with this stock, especially
Chris, let me ask you.
when
I
it
mean,
comes to valuations and
yeah.
stuff like that.
Chris, let me ask you. I want to kind of wrap this up in a big. I could go on forever, but we talk a lot about the retail investor and they're on full display on X all the time. But I know you speak to institutional investors. You used to work at big institutions. When you speak to the Tesla bulls, what do they tell you? The institutions now, what do they say? What do they believe?
They're all hyped up for the April launch of the Cybercab without a steering wheel and gas and brake pedals. They're convinced that the whole robotaxi thing's going to take off this year, and they're convinced that the Cybercab is going to be, made at $30,000 the way Musk said. Mind you, like $30,000 for a Tesla car is a tough feat to accomplish, I think, for them. They're not the best when it comes to costs,
So,
despite what people think.
right. So, by the way, implicit in everything else you said, we get the delay on robo taxis, 27, 28, whatever. The cybercab thing's not production's not going to happen in April, no?
Well, so here's the thing. I mean, this is another really, really weird thing that, I think that I don't know, Musk is maybe like on too many drugs, but that you cannot sell a car without a steering wheel and gas and brake pedals. I mean, um, it goes against the federal motor vehicle safety standards. And what they can do is they can say, well, it's because Musk got Trump to push the Department of Transportation to ease up a little bit on these strict laws that hold up Tesla from running their dangerous technology on the streets. But the point is, they're going to have to put the steering wheel back and the pedals back if FSD is not ready to go by April when they're planning to launch this. Or it's going to have FSD. Otherwise, you can't put it on the street without a steering wheel and pedals. So, but they don't have FSD, which means that this cybercab is a complete waste of time because I mean it's a two-seat car. It doesn't look very good. And nobody buys two-seaters in the States. I mean, who buys
Why
two-seaters?
would you buy one of these if
You
you didn't?
wouldn't. You wouldn't unless unless you wanted to earn money as a robo-taxi operator.
Yeah, but if we don't have robo taxis, then this thing is dead on arrival.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If you don't have, if FSD doesn't work, the cybercab is a waste of time.
Totally. All right. So from the institutional standpoint, do you think those guys trying to get in their heads, if we get to April and it ain't happening, do you think that's a big deal for them?
I would say, oh yeah, definitely. I would say, let's wait and see what Musk says on the earnings call later this month, the Q4 2025 earnings call. So we'll
Right.
see what happens there. But I think he's got a lot of explaining to do.
Yep.
How he handles it is going to be very interesting. I mean, the first question is like, what happened to the
Sure.
driverless cab rides in Austin? Why didn't you do that like you
Yep.
promised? The other thing is going to be like, what's going on with Cybercab and blah blah blah. I mean, there's going to be a lot of questions, and he's got a lot of explaining to do. So
Yeah.
let's see what happens. But I wouldn't be
So,
surprised.
so, 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 heretofore he's gotten a free hall pass every step of the way. innocent until proven guilty. Do you think that the excuses are kind of wearing thin and we may slip from some of the shine may be coming off and some probing questions may be increasingly asked of him?
Yeah, I think it just doesn't look good. A lot of
Right.
things look bad. I mean, you got this California DMV ruling that says that
Sure.
they were fraudulent. They broke consumer fraud laws in California by, marketing by their marketing
Yep.
of FSD. Then you've got the new laws in Texas. You've got the fact that Tesla still refuses to, submit any of its like FSD data. And it sort of makes you think like, look, if these guys really had something, I mean, they would like say we're pulling out all the drivers today and we're expanding in every city possible. I mean,
Well, it's like, was it the Charlie Munger line, show me the incentive, I'll show you the outcome. I mean, they've got it goes back to what we talked about earlier. They have every reason in the world to cough up the data if the data is good. So the
exactly.
ineluctable conclusion is the data is not good, and it's not clear when it is going to be good. And if I understand you correctly, robotaxis at a minimum, it's not a 26 event. I mean, so you take that along with the big earnings shortfalls we're going to see, the company going cash flow negative, the fact that when robotaxis eventually come, it's increasingly commoditized. So great, it's not going to be worth a fraction of what people thought it was going to have been worth, say, 5 years ago. The robot thing, they're nowhere. I mean, look, full disclosure, Motorhead, I don't know who wants to fall on the stake first. You know, I'll make no apologies for your analysis or my analysis. If someone had told you 5 years ago that Tesla's going to make $8 a share this year in 25, and instead they're going to have only made $1.60. If they told you that, and want to make this appropriate for family viewing, but you and I have both had our share of dust-ups on X with various characters, shall we say.
Yep.
Um, I know you've been trolled, but that character, it's just so frustrating because it's like, oh, number go up. Look, the stock price went up. You were wrong and I was right. And after all, Motorhead, it's all about getting the stock price, isn't it? Okay. And then you look at the fine print, it's like, wait a second. By your numbers, they were going to have sold 4 million cars this year. 4
Exactly.
million. And it came in
Exactly.
1,600,000. All right. So if I had to do that trade over again, and I think I'm speaking for you, I'll make a statement of question. If I had to do that trade over again, you tell me a company's gonna earn $1.50, not $8. You tell me they're only gonna deliver 1,000,006 units and not 4 million. Is the stock gonna go up or down? It's gonna
Go down.
crash.
Yeah.
It's gonna crash. But instead it went up.
Exactly.
So clearly it's not your spreadsheet nor mine, which is driving the price. And so I'll just end with a question like, what does it take? It's always I say to people, give them a date, give them a price, but never give them, the two together. What do you think it takes to finally crack this stock?
I think we're gonna have to I think we're gonna have to get past April and still have no robo taxis around.
Okay.
And I think that by that point, I think you got a lot of like new fans on this stock as well, which helps like, drive the stock price up.
Sure.
But I think some of these new people will probably say, hey, enough of this, I'm
Yeah.
getting out. I'm getting
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
There is no valuation support to speak of anyway. So if this catalyst about, robo taxis doesn't work out by,
Sure.
April, I think people like start dumping.
So for all the haters that are out there that'll be watching this, um, we welcome all replies. But other than George, you're an idiot, Motorhead's a moron, Gordon Johnson's got the worst writing in tip ranks or whatever. If you want to respond to the haters with some substance, like I think Motorhead is wrong because they're going to deliver twice as many cars, or he's way undervaluing robotaxis or Optimus, fine. But just relying on number go up and you guys are boomers, like, I don't think that's going to wash. And also, I love don't you love the anecdotes too? Um, oh, you don't understand Motorhead. I just took a ride in the latest FSD, blah blah blah, 14 point whatever it is. and it's an incredible ride.
Yeah.
My response, Pat response is always, Try telling that to Texas DMV, see what they say."
Well, my response is usually like, put your daughter in the back seat and flick the switch on and let's see how you think about it, you know? I'm serious. It's like I tell all these guys, like, you get in the back seat or put your mom in the back seat and turn the switch on.
Oh boy. All right, Motorhead. Anything else? This has been awesome as always. It's been going on for like an hour. Anything else we didn't touch on?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. But just to, a reminder of how important this robotaxi theme is like, the three biggest days of option volumes, call option volumes this year all had to do with robotaxis. It was
Yep.
on April 25th to stave off a sell-off in the shares after a bad Q1. After a bad Q2 on July 25th, same thing, huge call option volumes.
Hmm.
And then in December, because they're going to start
Got it.
doing driverless stuff in Austin. So this robo-taxi stuff is like a dog whistle to, like friends and family offices and stuff like that to go in there and spike the stock price by buying weekly calls.
Awesome. All right, so Motorhead, I hope we can do this again before too long. This has been great. And whether you're one is bullish on Tesla or bearish on Tesla, I hope that everyone watching this has found the discussion at least helpful. And that's really what we're trying to do here. We obviously have our own opinions. Motorhead's bearish, I'm bearish. But that's not really the point. The point is you can understand not just the what, but the why. And if you have a variant perception, plug in your own assumptions or stress test your own assumptions and ask yourself, what do I have to believe for Motorhead and George to be wrong? And I think that's really the most important part of this discussion. So Motorhead, this has been great. We'll
George,
do this
thanks so
again. We'll
much.
do this again. Really, really be well. All right.
Yeah, thank you so much. And as usual, you're one of the best interviewers I've ever
Take,
met. So thanks so
take
much.
care. Hold on. All right. Thanks. Bye.